Hey there, everybody. This is Kristin from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you with this week's mindfulness meditation practice. And we are now in the final week of our month of New Year, New No. And we explored that from a variety of different angles. One was about just allowing yourself to receive graciously. Sometimes we tend to just insist on doing everything ourselves when in fact others are trying to help and support us. We talked a little bit about setting down your burdens, even if it's temporarily. I didn't use this term at the time, but the word that comes up for me around that is this idea of surrendering, but not surrendering in the sense of giving up, but surrendering in the sense of just like letting go. Then we talked a little bit about saying yes and reflecting on what you want to say yes to. And then, of course, due to the nature of the theme itself, we also talked a little bit about saying no. So for this final week, what I was thinking would be kind of interesting is continuing to explore and think about what we might want to think about regarding letting things go, doing less, all of that kind of thing. And sometimes when I get excited about things, I'm like, all right, let's do this, and I'm all like, very gung-ho about stuff. But I want to emphasize the fact that even if you might be feeling gung-ho about the idea of doing less or whatever you might be feeling gung-ho about, that's great. And there's also something to be said for not putting pressure on yourself to do it 100%. You know what I mean? It can be a smaller percentage. And in fact, the percentage that I'm going to encourage you to play with and think about this week is the idea of 10%. So here's a few ways that we can explore this. And one of them leads just beautifully into the meditation itself. And I'll work that in. But off the cushion, when we talk about 10%, you can think about it as an increase or a decrease. When I find myself feeling more drawn to the concept of decrease, so for example, even if, I can't completely stop putting pressure on myself, I can decide perhaps just for a week to play with putting 10% less pressure on myself. Or if you want to think about increase, instead of saying, for example, okay, I would like to get back into a more regular sort of exercise habit, instead of, deciding I'm going to go 100% on doing all the things and working out like multiple times a day, not that I would ever do that, but the point is, perhaps I'm just going to exercise 10% longer, or increase, a couple of my exercises and their weights 10%, heavier, or, whatever it might be. You get the idea. And what's lovely about this very small increase or decrease in whatever way feels right to you is that it's so much lower pressure. And when things are lower pressure, it feels easier. It feels less heavy. It feels less difficult. There's less resistance. And these are all the things, of course, that we talk about all the time. And it can even be resistance to your practice. I mean, you might be feeling super gung-ho, it's a new year, blah, blah, blah. We have some new members, so welcome everybody who is a new member now. And that's great. And it's okay when that 100% commitment diminishes, but allowing yourself to be a little bit more loose and forgiving and soft, and maybe just, aspiring to 10%, either less or more of whatever it is that you're working toward. So in the spirit of 10%, let's go ahead and start our practice. And I'm going to weave that in a way that hopefully will feel supportive to what we do today. All right, let me set my timer for 10 minutes. Because we have some new folks, I'm just going to touch on a few of the basics, even though I believe just about everybody is not new to meditation. I'm going to encourage you to close your eyes or lower your gaze, whatever feels right to you. And you, of course, can go back and forth. I always like to roll my shoulders back because I tend to have a bit of a hunch, just working on things and tasks and what have you. So I think this is a lovely opportunity just to roll the shoulders back, open up the chest, which sets you up beautifully to take a few long, slow, deep breaths. So let's do that now. And if for some reason deep breathing feels a little elusive in this moment, just doing what you can to maybe breathe slightly deeper and slightly slower. Dare I say 10%. I always encourage you, if you're in a seated posture, to, as best you can, allow your vertebrae to be stacked one upon the other, or one upon each other, kind of like coins that might be stacked. There's a nice self-supportive quality to that. And of course, if you find that you naturally fall back into a slump throughout our sit, don't worry about that. That's not a problem. Don't be hard on yourself. Just very gently bring your posture back to what might be a little bit more upright, but not rigid. Allowing ourselves just to settle. And if you already know where you'd like to rest your attention in this moment, please feel free to do so. If you're interested in exploring options, you can rest your attention on the breath, or more specifically, sensations associated with the breath, like the air as it passes around the nose or mouth, the rising and falling of your chest or abdomen, whatever physical indicators allow you to be aware of the fact that you are breathing. And then you can also rest your attention on sounds. Right now I can hear an airplane flying overhead. I hear the ringing in my ears. Some sounds have a quality of being constant, perhaps like heat or a fan. Others come and go, like an airplane or a dog barking or a car passing by. And then you can also rest your attention on other sensations in the body. It could be parts of the body, like feeling the support of the chair or cushion beneath you, really feeling gravity holding you in this position. also rest your attention on sensations in the hands, or perhaps even the face, and even your body in its entirety, feeling the perimeter, the density. And if you want to keep it even more loose, I guess you could say, you could also rest your attention in open awareness, which is just any sensory input from moment to moment. And I'm a big believer in choosing whatever feels easy. So let's sit in silence for a little bit and I'll check back in shortly. As you continue to sit and allow yourself to be present to whatever is happening right now, I'm going to invite you to continue, but I'd like you to try 10% less hard at meditating. And that could be the level of concentration that you are working on exerting, or maybe even 10% less judgment of the experience and how you're doing. Just whatever comes up for you. Just easing up, loosening up, softening 10%. So for these last couple of minutes, let's sit together in silence with that 10% less quality of whatever you would like to play with. And let's sit together until that final bell. And that's our 10 minutes. So just to wrap up, my invitation to you this week is just to play with this idea of small increments of 10%, either less or more, when it comes to something that you're interested in shifting in some way. So instead of the big, massive change that can be daunting and that has a lot of sort of startup friction on it, perhaps making it just 10%, which often is much more accessible, less pressure, feels easier and lighter, and hopefully is actually even more motivating. So as always, thank you so much for taking this time for yourself, and thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey. And I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.